and welcome to Experiences and Perspectives, the podcast where we explore and reflect on how to live a healthy, joyous, and creative life. I'm your host Siddharth Srivastav, and our today's topic is introversion, HSP, and creativity. And to discuss this topic, we have a compelling guest, Delia Eva from Switzerland. She is a songwriter, a blogger, and an artist, as well as definitely a singer. She's currently a final year psychology student. So let's begin the talk. How was your day today, Delia?
It was a very good day. It was a very rainy Sunday today, so not much to do. I was playing games and just enjoying my day, reading a bit, drinking tea,
That's
taking
cool.
time for myself.
Okay. So the first question from my side would be, can you explain what exactly it means to be an introvert and an HSP? And how do these traits interact with each other?
So, introversion and HSP are kind of similar things, but not. They don't always come together, but very often. I think I somewhere read that about 70% of the HSP person are introverts. But HSP is just defined by, like it said, highly sensitive person. That just means that the the things we see, the things we hear, everything around us is kind of stronger, and also the emotions we feel, they come in higher intensity and everything's just more intense, and this can be a positive thing. In fact, most of HSPs are very creative because they have a very active inner life. They just see and hear everything that other people also hear and see, but just in like an higher intensity. But it can also, like, the downside is that it leads to exhaustion, and it's not always seen as a positive trait by everyone, so it's sometimes hard. For me, not every HSP is the same. Like, I am very sensitive in noises, in hearing stuff. And like when I'm in university with a lot of people, there are a lot of noises, or in the city, there are a lot of cars. It distracts me a lot. And at the end of the day, I'm super tired. And also at lunchtime, I can't be around, like in the great big canteen with a lot of people. I just need more time for myself. And the time for yourself, that is actually where it's also connected to introversion. Because introversion is just that you get your
Me
energy.
time.
Yeah, me time, exactly, from being alone. So that's also the reason why HSP and introversion are kind of similar things. Or the similar thing is that both need time for themselves to recharge. Yeah, but they're also extrovert in HSP as well.
Okay. 70% are introvert and 30% are extrovert. So it's more introversion is more common in being an HSP.
Yeah, and it also makes sense because like you just need time for yourself, recharge, and just feed that inner life
Okay,
you have.
definitely. As you said that these traits, being an HSP and being an introvert, these are mostly considered as traits of weakness. So, in what ways do you think these traits could be an advantage to anyone? And what are the specific strategies you have created which help you embrace these traits for your advantage?
Well, so I think it is an advantage as a creative person because, I mean, when I look at a tree, I see so many details, and it's like it impacts my emotions a lot. And this can be positive when I write a song, or when I write a blog, or to another artist who paints something. they're inspired by everything because everything has something interesting. It never gets boring because you always have something that just inspires you, that like triggers your emotions. So I think when we would have more time in life to just enjoy these things and to hear what we need right now, maybe need to take a step back from all the stimuli, then this can be a great advantage. And it's also very beautiful to take time for the sensitivity you have. And I talked and I forgot your question. You said an advantage. You asked about my strategies, right?
Yeah, I asked, can you share? Are there any strategies you found that help you leverage these traits for your good?
Right. So I think it's a very big topic because there are different strategies. As I said, I'm very sensitive, especially to noises. So I like some practical tips. I have just like the little earplugs I have always in my backpack. When it gets too loud, I just put them inside. Also, be honest with the people around you and explain to them why you can't be around many people now, why you need time for yourself, why you can't eat like everyone, like in the middle of the cafeteria, but need to go outside in a quiet room. Sometimes it's exhausting to explain everything about yourself, but I think it's very helpful because people are most of the times very supportive when you tell them about that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're surprised how many people actually understand you and are like that too. So talking about it, being honest about it, that really is helpful. Yeah, and also if you want to be creative, then be creative because it's just such a nice and beautiful way to express what you feel and to express your sensitivity.
Okay. See, you said as a weakness, uh, it could be embraced as HSP person or introvert. Like you said, I am also an introvert. We absorb more. We see the details, as you said, you see the details of a tree. A random person or an extrovert would just see something as just a tree, but we would see the bird sitting on the tree. We would see the ants climbing the tree and the leaves, the dry leaves, the green leaves as well. We would see the details of it. And when we are able to absorb more, we can create more. That's a very good thing you said. And I think, was the best advantage you explained about it.
Yes, you put that so well in words. That's very well said. How do you think your introversion, when do you feel introvert in your everyday life?
In everyday life, I'm mostly, uh, when I'm alone, I feel energized. And when I'm with people, more than two people, like right now, I'm one-on-one conversation. So it's energizing. It's empowering because we would be sharing our energies and wisdom with each other. But when there are two or more people, then I'm unable to uh, absorb each of the person's words and then express myself because we see everything, absorb the details, and after doing all the calculations, then we do the give the response. So it's more uncomfortable to respond to multiple peoples at the same time, and that's the thing for me. I mostly prefer being alone or being with few people as less as possible. Yeah.
That's so interesting. I do understand that a lot. I sometimes feel like people who don't know me, they look at me and they're wondering what I'm thinking, and they maybe think I'm very boring or I don't say a lot. But if they
Yeah,
would see what's going on inside, they
they
probably
would be
wouldn't.
amazed.
That way. Yeah, it's true.
Today only I was while I was coming back from my uncle's house because it was the festival. So I went to my uncle's house for celebration. While he was dropping me on his car, I was sitting, my uncle was sitting, and my cousin was sitting, and we weren't talking at all. They both were talking, but I was like, what should I speak? I felt like I'm a very boring person. They were talking about movies, new releases, and I was like, I don't watch movies at all. At all. I I watch movies, the ones which I have watched 4 years back. I would still prefer to watch that same movie multiple times rather than watching a new movie about which I don't know anything. That's something which I feel like I'm not interesting. But when I will talk, or when I have a one-to-one conversation on an interesting topic for me, then it's like I can talk for hours.
It is true. It is true. You're right. Like we can talk a lot when it's the right topic. I feel like a lot of introverts and HSP also have a deep longing for like meaningful conversations.
Yeah,
Like what we have now in this podcast, like I could talk for hours about topics like introversion and HSP, creativity. And what you said about the movies, I had to laugh for a second because I'm the same. I feel like as an HSP, everything new is just a lot of information. So I like to rewatch everything because it's like I can see the details in it and it's so interesting.
yeah, definitely. You won't believe. You know the Fast and Furious series, right? It's a movie
I've never
series.
watched it, but yeah, I know.
I have watched those movies. There are around 10 movies of that series. I have watched those 10 movies more than 200 times. I know every scene to its every detail. But still, I would prefer watching that same movie rather than watching a new release.
I
That's
understand.
what, and that would be more exciting to me, and I would enjoy it.
That's so funny. And
Yeah,
you know every word that is said in the movie and every detail.
and for an extrovert or other person, it would be like, why are you watching that same thing again? You know the story.
Yeah,
But I would say I know that story in much more detail than you will ever know because I was in it multiple times. That's why.
this is so interesting.
Yeah,
Like and also like to talk about this and like also talk with extroverts about this and we can laugh about our differences. It's funny.
yeah. Okay. Can you share one experience when, due to your introversion or being very sensitive, you uh, faced a big challenge, and how did you how did you deal with it?
Wow, so I had a lot of experiences that were very hard and it was hard to explain why I was feeling like this. Like one thing that just comes up in my mind was in school where we had like this week in with our class that we traveled to another country. Just like I had like a music I was in a music class, so we traveled with the other um 5 people. So it was a very small group. We were 6 people, including the teacher. So actually, very small group. But we traveled to London for a week to see theater, movies and theaters and concerts and we were there and we shared a room all together. And, you would say 5 people aren't a lot, but for me it felt like a lot. And in London, a big city with constant noise, and we had a very strict program. We saw like 2 concerts a day. We were running around the city, and after 2 days, I got sick. I had a very high fever, and I think that was the reaction of my body saying, enough is enough, I can't deal with this anymore. After 2 days, I was just laying in bed the rest of the week, alone in my room. And actually, it was the best thing that could happen because I really needed to be alone. But these are things that happen. And it sounds sad, but I mean, it is how this works. And I felt I was younger then, didn't quite know what was going on. So that was very, very hard for me, and I couldn't really explain what was happening to me. If I knew that I reacted that way, I could have said to the others, I just need to take a step back. But yeah, that was the reaction because it was all too much. And I think now I would have talked with the teacher saying that this is too much for me. I have to stay at the hotel at least for like one evening alone for me. I would have explained to my friends that this works. This is just how it works for me. And this is very hard because it's always the fear that they don't understand. You are the one who's wrong. You're being very weird. And it's just, I mean, everyone says, but yeah, just be you and just talk to the others and explain yourself. I know it's hard to explain yourself, but I think it's the only way. And I mean, I don't have quite a solution. It looks probably different for everyone.
And
But I
you
think,
don't need a
yeah,
solution because it's not a problem at all. It's just the way our mind works
yeah,
or your mind works.
it be
When did
it
you
be
realize this thing about yourself?
so. I can't say that wasn't a one moment when I realized that, because I've always been like that, and I kind of always knew. But sometimes it's hard because you get like people saying you're taking everything too personally or you're being too sensitive. So it's kind of, you're struggling with that. And I think I accepted that, I think like 2 or 3 years ago when I talked with my best friend, and she's exactly the same. And I think it was her telling me how she feels that led to acceptation that I was actually the same. It is weird because she explained how she feels and I felt the same, so I could accept that, knowing that there's also other people who feel like that. And then I
When we
read a
get
lot of books about HSP and introversion, and it really helped me.
Yeah, when we get to know about our weirdness earlier, when we don't know how what we feel is a natural thing, then we search for other people's like us, and when we find other people like us, then we feel a bit confident that what is happening in our brain is normal. There are people around in the world which feel the same, and then we begin to understand ourselves more and embrace the qualities which we have.
Yeah, totally. Like you said, it's not a problem being HSP or introvert, but it becomes a problem when we're fighting against it and when we constantly have to act like we are not how we are. So, like, accepting that and seeing that there are also other people who feel the same, it's very important.
Yeah. So, as for introverts like us, the lone time is the best time of the day. Whenever we find that time of the day, we are at the peak of ourselves. So, how do you balance your need of alone time and being around people?
That's a good question. I think also as an introvert, I need people around me a lot. Like, I like to see some friends, but I like to choose when I'm around people and when I'm alone. I think that's the most important thing for me, that I can choose when I'm around
Yeah.
people and when not. So when I have the power to say, now I want to see a friend, now I want to go home, then it's totally fine. Then I'm like at the happiest. But often, yeah, you know that. Often we
Definitely.
can't choose because we have to go to university. And I think for me also the good thing is I also have a lot of things that I can do online. So I have like 3 days in a week where I go to the city, go to university, and be there with my friends. And I have 2 days when I can be at home alone and work on these things. I make breaks, go to the forest,
Mhm.
and
Collect
yeah, I think,
mushrooms.
yeah, collecting mushrooms. Right. Yeah, Yeah, I think it's just every day is a bit different. There are days when I have more longing to be around people, and there are days when I just want to be alone. So I think it's very human to not be the same every day. I don't know, how is it for you? That's a very interesting question that you asked.
For me, my circle, like you said, friends, it's been a up and down process. My friendship has never lasted for long with a particular person, except for one which I have for past 8 years, and he's the only person I feel like sharing everything, keeping nothing as a secret from him. And other than that, most of my friendships are like they don't last at all, except when I began making online friends and uh, got some very great ones like you. I learned a lot of things from you and few more people. So for me, I the people which I have made friends with, they know that I need alone time. I won't reply right when they send the text, or I won't accept the call when I am doing something or not feeling to be able to reply at the moment. So they understand as they know me, and that's why I feel like having a small circle is more important for introverts, as you can explain those people totally how you feel, and they, as being your friends, would understand and support you. So it's same for me. Some days I'm like, yes, today I got an extrovert energy. I will talk to everyone, do every chaotic thing. Then there are days when I don't talk at all. So it's same for me.
Yeah, and it's totally fine.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of time in nature. It seems like you have a great relationship with nature. So when and how did it begin, and how are you embracing it?
I've always been like this, I think. When I was like 3 years old, my parents didn't send me to like a normal kindergarten. I went to normal kindergarten too, but then like I also went to like a forest kindergarten, so it was just
Wow.
like a couple of kids running around the forest. I've always loved being around animals also, like horses and dogs and cats, and I went walking with a dog twice a week of a very old lady that lived in our village. And I also grew up in a little village with my parents and my brother, and I remember the first time, or one of the first times I was in the city, and it was a lot for this little brain. And I just went home and I had a huge headache. And I remember thinking, I don't want to live in a city. I just, yeah. I mean, it's fine. It's like the same with meeting people. I like to be in a city when I choose to be in a city, but I also like just to go home in a quiet space. You know, the noises are just very distracting for me. And this is also the thing that, I mean, on some days you need alone time, but it can also become a bit like almost boring. Just it's just like nothing around you. And going to the forest and noticing how much life there is.
Yeah,
Like,
as you said, absorbing. We are absorbers. So we don't need to stay at the place to be happy. We need to roam around, but don't do any activity, just absorb. And
yes,
that's happening in the nature.
yes, right. There are birds, there are trees, everything's growing, making noises, and just being alive. And it's so inspiring. I just often just stand in the forest and just look at everything and just it's just amazing, and it's my biggest source of inspiration for my music, for my videos, for my writing, because it's like it's noise, it's
It's
visual.
soothing noise.
Yeah, everywhere it's alive, but at the same time it's not overwhelming, and that's so unique.
Yeah, that's where my next question would go. Many of your song names as well as their lyrics portray the beauties of nature, like your song named Storm, Woods, and my favorite one, In Love with a Rose. So, how does nature inspire you to create such songs and their amazingly beautiful lyrics?
Thank you so much. I think that's a very good question. I've never asked myself how like that first thought came, but I think I remember In Love with a Rose. I've written that. I got roses for my birthday, and then they died after a few weeks, and they got like very dry, and I didn't want to throw them away because they were so beautiful, even though they were very dry and old. I just looked at them and thought, I just don't want to throw them away. And it's like 3 years passed, and they're still they're still here.
Wow.
And I was obsessed with this book, Le Petit Prince. I don't know if you know it. It's like a little French book about a little prince who falls in love with a rose, and it was just so inspiring, and I wanted to write a song about that. And actually, it should be a very soft and beautiful song about this. But I remember I somehow felt not that emotion. I somehow felt very strongly that I should change something. Like my emotion didn't really fit my thoughts, and I got very weird. And it got like a bit an angry song, but still like based on his thoughts, and that is very interesting. Sometimes things go in a totally other direction than you thought, but it's still like, yeah, I think there are very strong emotions in it, and that's also why I love it. It's just a way of expressing yourself, but it began just with looking at roses.
Okay. What about the song Woods? Just looking at the trees, looking at that apple tree from your window. You got that idea for that.
That song, I love this song. I loved writing this song because my therapy when I'm feeling sad or frustrated or angry or overwhelmed is I go to the forest and I just walk around. And it's really like therapy. And I went home from a walk in the forest, sat on a piano, and I've written that song.
Wow.
Because I just felt very sad, and just somehow I had to. Somehow I first feel the emotions, then I go to the forest to like translate my emotions into words, and then I go home and write the words down, and that's how the song was created.
That's
And I
how the
just call
mind
it
of
wood. Yeah,
mind of us introverts work. We are absorbing with our eyes and ears, and in our brain, all the calculations are going on, all the creative things are going on. Like what we absorb, we aren't conscious about what we are doing in our mind, but it is doing the calculations, which come out in the form of any form of creativity, which we don't realize that it came from there.
all the time. Yeah.
Okay. When and how did you realize about the creative fire burning within you? And what was the your first creation and when did it came up?
It's a good question. I think I love all kinds of creativity. I really like to draw as a kid,
Mm.
and I don't draw so much now because like with school I got a bit
Mm.
tired of drawing when we got grades, and I didn't have good grades in painting and drawing. I was really bad, but I like to do it. But I somehow stopped. But my dad. He's also very musical. He plays the violin, and I also started with playing the violin, and then I played the flute for a while, and then the guitar. And I also always loved singing. And I was 9 years old when my mom sent me like in the holidays. Um, she just sent me to like a program for kids where we just sang song together, and at the end of the week we would perform in front of our parents. And
That's
I loved
interesting.
it. And after that, I went to vocal classes. I got guitar classes and piano classes, and I just always loved to write. I think writing is the most beautiful way of expressing your emotions. And it was the combination of music and writing that led to songwriting. And it's just, I think it all came very slowly. But I think I wrote my first song when I was about 13. And I can't really remember it because I'm not sure what it was. It was probably something very simple and easy. But yeah, I think it all came very slowly. And it was just a way of expressing what I was feeling. And I'm sure you get that.
I can totally relate to you. Like we begin creation in our beginning teenage, but we don't realize what we are creating. Like I currently write books, as you know, but it all began in the form of lucid dreams when I was 13 or 14, just like you. So I wasn't aware about these things that, but whenever I used to sit or get to sit for study or sit like random uh, watching the trees in my balcony or in my backyard. So I used to create things. I used to create scenarios like I'm what the trees standing in front of me. The tree used to begin talking to me. I used to talk to trees. It was my imagination, but soon with in a time, it actually began from there, and then I began to create scenarios where I used to create fake personalities and talk to them. I experience adventure, go on an adventurous trip with them in my mind, and it was like, what am I doing? But I used to enjoy it. Now, when I began writing all those stories down, I think like if I had began or understood what I was doing then, I would have written tens of books till now. We don't understand what we are doing in our teenage.
Totally. Yeah. And it's so interesting reading or listening to these things again and realizing what we were going through, and it just all makes a lot of sense finally.
Yeah, and when we realize, we are like, yes, now it is the time to do to do the things.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's all based on our imagination. And it's just coping with the world, with our emotions. I used to be uh, alone a lot of times when I was a teenager, and even though I'm an introvert, it was a bit too much. I was alone because I was very overwhelmed and I didn't have a lot of friends, and just writing music and writing songs. It was just, yeah, it was just therapy.
Okay. When did you decided to showcase all your creations to the world?
I think I always loved to perform because always felt, like I said, that people don't get me because I am quiet. I may seem boring, but I always felt if people knew what was going on the inside, like that would be so amazing for me because I will finally be understood.
Mm.
And I always loved to sing in front of people. And it was when I was 18 when I released my first EP. It
And
was actually a work for school I did. And I think I've always loved to just show what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking. And just when I was 18, so that was 5 years ago, I released that first EP. it was very freeing also. It all always takes a lot of courage because you show what you feel, you show what you think, but it's totally worth it every time. And the responses you get are so lovely most of the time. And yeah, you feel understood.
Yeah, we have a self doubt, inner doubt that how others are gonna judge for our creations. We feel like, what am I? The things which I am creating, are they even valuable? Are they even entertaining? And we just need to get out of that self doubt. Then only we could see the possibilities our creations hold. I think that's very important thing, to remove the self doubt.
Yeah, that's totally true. I sometimes feel a bit sad about that because I think there would be so much good creative art and stories and music if people dared to show what they feel and or if people are supported to show what they feel. So it's important to do that, I think.
Yeah. You published your first album Plans in 2018, which was 5 years back. So, how did you felt when it got out, and how was the reaction of your close family and your close friends?
It was like better than birthday because like you get so many messages on the day, um, or I got so many messages on the day that the EP came out. It was amazing. And so many just lovely messages. I was really, really touched by how many people listen to my music. And I think my family was very supportive. My dad was also very close, like involved into the process. He played the violin on all the tracks that you hear.
Okay.
And yeah, also a lot of questions what the songs are about, and it just touches me because like people are interested in my thoughts and feelings, or at least it feels like that when they're asking about my songs.
That's great. When we overcome our self doubt and we begin expressing our creations, then we attract the right people who are interested in us, and only after expressing ourselves they get the opportunity to talk and know us better. Like you said, people began to ask you about your songs. How did it you created them? It was possible only because you showed them. If you had a self doubt and you just kept those songs for yourself, that won't happen at all.
Yeah, yeah, true. I mean, I also got like reactions that hurt me a bit. Like my teacher, that was a project from school. My teacher had was not that happy like I hoped to be. He was very into jazz, so he didn't really like that I did pop music. Um, but I mean, there are also like a few other people, but I mean, it hurt me then because criticism at your art feels like criticism to your personality. It's like
Yeah.
you put your whole personality in your art. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's just you have to ask yourself the questions if you're doing this for them or if you're doing this for yourself. And even though it's criticism is hard, I think you have to still do it. And you can also learn from criticism, but you can also just continue. And that's what I
Because,
did. Yeah.
yeah, that's an important thing. We should focus on the people who admire us and give productive criticism, the criticism which motivates us and gives value to our creations, rather
Yeah.
than this people who are like, you don't know about music.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much
Very
do
true.
you know?
Yeah. It's true. And yeah, I mean, we always continue to be better. We always work on ourselves, and I think it's not necessary to tell somebody that what they're doing is wrong. It's just not real necessary. I mean, you can ask, do you want me to really tell my opinion and be honest about it? And they may say yes or no, or you can just support them whatever they do.
Yeah, that's how it must go, but it doesn't go like that most
Yeah.
of the cases.
Yeah. A lot of times.
Yeah.
It's true.
What is going on inside your mind when you are creating a new song? Whether it's writing, creating its music, or while
Mhm.
singing it.
It's very interesting. I feel like it's different with every song that I write.
Okay.
I almost all the time I start with writing the lyrics and I just write down what I feel. Sometimes it's about something that happened to me or that I'm sad about. Most of my songs aren't that happy. Actually, all of them I think are like more sad songs. But I think that's a form.
They aren't sad actually. I think they portray the true emotions going in a normal person's head at all time. We aren't always happy. They are emotions of sadness, grief, or anything, but we enjoy those emotions as well, and those emotions are portrayed in your songs so beautifully that listening to your songs is like, yes, I'm listening to a good music.
Thank you a lot. I always hope that people feel understand in my songs because that's what I longing for, to be understand. And yeah, I think at first it just starts with my emotions and my feelings and my thoughts, but when it's finished, it should also become everyone else's song. Like when you listen to it, you should feel this is my song. This is my emotion. This is what I thought. That's like always my goal to achieve, like that people just feel at home at my music and listening to that. And I think the sad part, like why the songs are sad, or because that's a way of dealing with what's going on inside. And like you said, yeah.
We, as a creator or as a singer, you want the listener to feel the same emotion as you felt while writing or singing this song. That's very interesting and important thing.
Yeah,
And when you are able to achieve that thing, that's, I think, makes you the happiest.
yeah, totally, yeah. And it's always when I sing the songs for people, I feel the emotions very strongly. When I just sing them for myself, they're here, but they're more like shallow. And when there are people here, I feel it very, very strongly. And I feel this is also like just the need of being connected to each other, being understood, and wanting people to feel the same as you feel.
Emotions
And
get
just,
synchronized through your song.
yeah, yeah,
And that's so
yeah,
beautiful.
thanks.
You recently began creating YouTube videos, which are very soothing and beautiful to watch and listen to, and they are full of good values and true wisdom. So, how how did this thought came to you to create such videos? Because earlier you were creating YouTube videos for just music, but now it's like more of a therapy you are giving to the listener. So how did it came out from you?
I like that it's a therapy. That's a compliment. I think I nature is just like a big inspiration for me, and I felt I want to bring that source of inspiration closer to the people who are listening to my music or watching my videos. And I also love to write, but in music, it's sometimes you have to take care that the music, that the melody is fitting what you write, that it's fitting your lyrics, and you have to do some compromises sometimes. And I just wanted to write whatever I feel without these compromises. And I also felt inspired by other videos that I saw that just captured this nature, and I just felt so at home, and I realized how much I needed how much I need the nature and the forest, and I think it was just longing to be more in nature, and recording these videos outside is just so much fun to me because I can do what I love the most, being outside in the forest, and at the same time I can write my lyrics and just put the lyrics, instead of putting them in a song, I put them in a video. And it's just a new form of expressing myself, which is very interesting at the moment for me. And I also feel like it also takes a lot of time until you like produce a song, and recording a video, it's much faster, and you get
Yeah,
responses, and it motivates you to keep going because you have like more responses from the people. And at the moment, that feels very right to me doing that.
that's great. When we are creating, like while creating a music, the process for creating the lyrics is same for YouTube video as well as song, as you said, but music would take very much longer time than creating a YouTube video. And when we get that feeling of joy of creating something or putting value to other lives in a short time, then we feel more empowered, and it motivates us to keep doing it and just enjoy the things. Like for
Yes,
the, it's very cool and amazing. Like this podcast, one day my friend asked me, co- explain in one sentence, why do you make podcasts? He's my best friend and he cares for me. So he asked, so I thought and thought and thought. I thought for a long time, how could I explain in one sentence? So I, after thinking for a while, a lot of time, I said, I do it because I enjoy it. And he was like, that's the perfect answer. Because creating something, if we create something with a material goal with it, then we won't get it and we won't be satisfied by our creations. But if we create something for the sense of enjoyment and satisfaction, then we would be really satisfied by our own creations. And
yeah,
whether people listen to it or or not, whether only 10 people get the values from it, we would still be as satisfied as anything else.
yeah. It's a different way of motivation that keeps you going. And it
Yeah,
makes you happy because you can talk about the topics you're actually interested in. And that is so amazing, I think.
yeah. Like you said, you express your emotions through writing songs. And when I began this podcast, it was actually came out from journaling, or I used to do journals, but I began to listen. When I used to listen to other podcasters, I was like, I could also talk uh, these things. I too have got some values which I got from my parents, which are really helpful to other people's. So I began talking about, in my solo episodes. There is no script, no nothing. I just write down the topic, two, four or five bullet points, and I begin speaking on that. And it's like I don't need to think at all. I just begin the recording, read one bullet point, and come out with the thoughts, every thought I have around this thing, every story which is linked to this thing. I speak out everything, and that's the easiest process to make a solo episode for me. And for some, if they create, if and for me, if I will create a script, then I would be like, why should I follow a script when I can create on the spot? Because like when I created an episode on journaling, uh, I was like, I don't need anything. I have been journaling for a long time. I know everything, how it goes on and how it benefits the person. So without even the bullet points, I spoke for 20 minutes straight, and it was one of the best, most well performed episode of mine. I was like, yeah, creating on the spot through the uh, imagination and the absorbed things in my brain is good for me. I prefer that.
That's so amazing because you can talk about it because you're really interested in it and because you like to do it. I like that.
Yeah. Very recently, just this week, your new song came out. Fucked Up Day. Firstly, congratulations for it. It was a very amazing music, and for the first time, you are trying out that energetic song, and it was like I was vibing it while listening to it. Lovely to listen to it. How did you felt when you changed your genre? Like you said, you mostly sing the songs which are full of deep emotions, the real emotions. But this song is bit of more energetic, though its lyrics are not happy, give a happy vibe, but still it's more energetic. How did you felt about it?
Well, actually, your compliment means a lot to me because I was very anxious when this song came out 2 days ago because it's very different from everything that I did before. And I didn't even write that song. It was two friends of mine who've written that song and just asked me if I would sing this song for them. And I thought about it for a while because it was very different. I was a bit scared what people would think, but then I thought, okay, I can try it. I can try something new. And if I don't like it, then I know that I don't like it and I will never do that again. But it actually was quite fun. I think it's probably not something that I would do again in that style. I probably will go more back to my older style or to my more sensitive nature style. But it was a very fun experience that I had. And I also think the song is very nice. And yeah, I think I was not sure about it. I always feel very uncomfortable, like doing something that is very unexpected or that people don't expect from me and that I feel a bit nervous about. But I mean, we can always try these things. It's also maybe it's just a different facet of me that was in that song. And
Yeah,
yeah,
only by trying we could see what possibilities it could bring.
yeah, yeah. And here we are.
Yeah, but this it was lovely to hear you in that voice, and I loved it.
Thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. Because you can imagine how anxious I was for that day.
Your last solo album, Etika, came out last year. So when is the new album coming out? Because I'm excited for it.
I can't tell you now because I don't know it by myself, but I will record the new album probably in the next few months, and I'm in contact with one who's the sound engineer and who will help me recording the songs. And probably in summer we will record the songs. So I hope at the beginning of next year, the next album. And the title of the album will probably be Back to Nature, which I think
Wow.
also very suits what I did now with trying something new and now I go back to nature.
Back to nature, yeah. That's amazing title. I'm very excited. So all its creations are already done. You have written all those songs. Just
Yes,
you need to record it and do all the technical things, right?
yes, right. Yeah. And yeah, that's great.
That's so amazing. Did you enjoy the conversation?
A lot. Yeah. It was very interesting to hear about your stories and also to talk about mine. I think we can learn a lot about just communicating with each other. I wanted to ask you when we had the question about, or when I talked about the criticism, I wanted to ask you how you deal with criticism, because I think I'm not 100% sure how I should deal with criticism, so I
Yeah,
try to learn from other people.
criticism for me, the things I create are firstly the podcast and secondly the book, which is still in progress. I've written it, just I need to publish it, which I will do this year for sure after I will get through my placement, because I had a plan to publish it last year, but then I got a thought that firstly I need to complete the dreams of my parents, which is to see me placed in a good company. So I postponed my dreams. I kept them as a priority. When I will do get the job, I will publish my book the next day for sure. So my current content is podcast, and criticism is like very few people listen to my episodes, and most of the people who listen to the episode give the complete detailed review about it, like the topics I talked about. They want to explore more, they ask questions about it, and some people who say bad about me aren't are the people who aren't listening to the whole episodes. They listen to a part of it and they are saying like, you don't know anything about this. I'm like, you should listen complete this story. Only after knowing the half story you can't judge someone. You can't judge an episode. You need to listen completely, and then you need to think what are the things which are being addressed or and which are left out. Then you can say anything about the creator. But some people are like, no, I would say you are bad. Whatever you create is bad. Then I'm like, yeah, that's your point of view. And for me, I know I have put the efforts in it. So I need to filter, I need to put a filter in my ears and my brain. I listen to things which uh, add up the as a value to me and leave out everything which are of no use. Like people say to me, your podcast doesn't go well. You give so much effort, but still you aren't growing at all. I'm like, I'm creating for myself. I don't care about how many people sees or how many people don't see. I just create for myself. So being honest to ourselves and believing ourselves that what I am creating is enough and is best, then we don't get distracted by the negative criticism. That's I think is very important. When we begin to believe ourselves 100%, only by believing 100% we can ignore the negative things coming to us. And if we are still in a self doubt, then every negative thing will hurt us more than the positive things. And as you are being more sensitive to these things, so it would be a bit complex for you. I can understand it, but making your belief in yourself stronger would only add up to your value and help you deal with these situations. That would an advice I would like to give you about it.
Thank you, that. Well, I hope that as long as it makes you happy and as long as you're having fun and you can create and express yourself, I hope you continue doing that. I really encourage you because you did a great job today.
Yeah. It was this year I decided to uh, do like my last episode last year came on 30th November. After that, for 1 month, no episodes came, neither solo nor talk shows. So at the Christmas time, I was thinking, have I dropped the idea of enjoying this thing? Or how should I do this thing that I am more interested in it and I enjoy it more? So during the time of 25 Christmas to New Year, I began thinking about it, that for the next year, one of my most important priority would be my podcast. So I began planning out my guests, planning out my topics. So during those 5 days, I did the planning for the next 4 months episodes. Like 4 months, yeah, that means 16 episodes are being planned out in just those 5 days. And which got me there was that I decided to explore. I decided that I would attract the opportunities. I would reveal the vulnerabilities so that other peoples might come to me and give me the opportunity. For the first time on 1st January, I send requests to another other podcasters who are in my genre. I I sent a request for talk shows to five other podcasters, and luckily two of them accepted it right then. On 1st January, I sent the invitation. On the 2nd January, the confirmation I received from them. So it
That's
was
so great.
possible only because I tried. I tried to express myself.
Mhm.
It's very important, and I'm like, I feel proud that I took that decision. And if I would
Yeah,
have, and that happened only because I believed in myself. I believed in my creation that I am capable. I can talk to other people. I can talk to a big person. I can talk to a small person. The people who are saying that I am unable to talk, they don't matter at all because they don't
yeah,
know who I am and what are my capabilities.
yeah. And if they would know you, they maybe wouldn't say that anymore.
Yeah, only by embracing and showing our more qualities than they would, their mouth would be shut up. Because we aren't ever capable to shut the mouths of other person until we have we have the things to prove those our things, and that is possible only when people would know us, know our creations.
Yeah. But
Like
you're putting yourself out there, and that's it needs a lot of courage. So I think it's very, very brave and very important.
like there is a movie which came out. It's a biopic of a cricketer. Ajhar movie it was there, and in that movie there was a dialogue where a young boy, 7 or 8 years, he was playing cricket, but other people around him were bullying him for that you aren't playing good. But his grandpa came to him and said, and he was arguing when people were bullying him, other kids were bullying him, he was abusing them and saying wrong things to them. Then his grandfather came to him and said, if you will try to stop the other person's mouth using your mouth, then they won't quiet. But if you will speak through your abilities, you he said, if you will speak through your bat, like cricket is played with bat, so if you will speak through your bat, then everybody around you will just shut up. It's like our creations gonna create the impact, not just us,
Mhm.
because that's how we express our emotions and our create our things. Really.
Mhm. That's beautiful.
Thank you so much for being on my podcast. It was great talking to you about everything. Did you enjoy it?
Of course, I did.
So that's all for today. See you next time. Till then, stay sane and keep exploring. Bye bye.
Bye.